So in chapter 3 of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we have seen that the chapter began with divine causality. It didn't just start with a list of avatars. It first introduced us to puruṣa-avatāras. Now, what is the cause behind the cosmos itself? Like discussing about the founders. You are working in a company, for example, a corporation, but who were the founders? Why did it come into being? And then we study the avatars. So avatars are like the Lord's interaction, the Lord's intervention in the cosmos. That is an avatar. An avatar is a divine descent when anything is in disorder. So, we can think of it just like a company has regular board meetings. So the most important, in fact, the founders, the creators, and the leaders have to come together to decide on the most important matters on how the company is functioning. Similarly, this cosmos is an enterprise of the Lord. It is not that this is happening by accident, or it is not even that Lord has created it but is not now involved in it. No, the Lord is very interested and keeps coming whenever there is a decline in dharma, like how the directors, the founders of the company keep having regular meetings. They are meant to provide the direction. So the entire functioning of the cosmos is dependent on the Lord, and the Lord participates in it through avatars. Yeah, then we saw the first 5 verses were about the puruṣa-avatāras. We discussed the 3 puruṣa-avatāras, the expansions of the Lord for the role of creation. And we also saw that this world is both a place of bondage and also a place of recovery and liberation. Yeah, that there is meaning to this world. There are sages, there are scriptures, there are incarnations. Their purpose is to get us out of this loop of samsara. So it's a field for us to learn. It's a field of reformation and training. Now, we should not get caught up in our ahankara, yeah, and thereby misuse our free will. But we should learn about the true nature of ourselves, about the true nature of the world, and then through that reformation, through that rectification, through that learning, we should then get out of this bondage of karma. And then we discussed these divine forms are all transcendental. And we need purified vision to have darshan. So we cannot perceive the Lord with our same contaminated material eyes. We need a adhabra chakshu. So then we started discussing about the various avatars. So starting from verse 6, we discussed the Kumaras, then Varahadev, Narad, Devarshi Narad, Lord Narad Narayan, Lord Kapila, or Dattatreya, Yagya, Lord as Yagya, as Rishabdev, as Prithu Maharaj, then as Matsya, then as Kurma, Dhanvantari, Narsimha, Vamana, and as Bhrigu Pati, as the destroying all the irreligious Kshatriyas. So we are seeing these, after the Purusha avatars, we are seeing the various other avatars. So And we studied in the purports of Srila Prabhupada that Avatara is not a self-declared person. Avatar is known through Shastra, through symptoms, through a specific mission. So nobody can, just become an imposter and claim that they are avatars. So avatara is a divine descent into our material realm, and the identity and the function of that divine descent is already revealed in scriptures. Yeah. And each avatar, as we saw last time, is addressing a different crisis. This is where we were looking at avatars as intervening when there is disarray, disorder in the world, cosmic disorder, metaphysical confusion, karmic bondage, socio-ecological collapse, and to lead us on the path of search for happiness, or even to teach us sensory control. So avatara is intervening whenever there is a need. So now we continue with verse 21. We'll discuss a few more avataras and then see what is the conclusion, what is the hierarchy, and where does it all culminate. So let's chant the 21st verse. Tatha saptadashe jataha satyav patyam parasharat chakre vedataro shakhaha drishtva puṁsaḥ. Thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Sri Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati through Parashar Muni, and he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, seeing that people in general were less intelligent. So the next incarnation being described here is Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva has the credit of categorizing the original one Veda into four for the ease of understanding for the people of Kali Yuga. Yeah. Otherwise, there are so many, branches and sub-branches now which make it easy for us to understand. The four Vedas, Sam, Yajur, Atharva, and Rigveda, these were categorized by Vyasadeva. And then it was also explained further in Puranas and Mahabharata. So generally, why did Vyasadeva undertake this at all? Because Vedic language and subject matter are very difficult to understand. And in Kali Yuga, we have seen in chapter 1 that people have reduced intelligence, shortened memory, significantly lesser lifespan, and a general disinterest in spirituality. So for such an audience, that's how remarkable a teacher Vyasadeva is, that he knows how to present to even such a disillusioned and degraded audience. Because in today's times, we don't have any system of pursuing spiritual understanding. There are no samskaras, there is no vidya. So in this atmosphere, everyone is degraded. So where is the education? Where is the training? So to make the same message of the scripture of the Vedas accessible even to such an audience, Vyasadeva presented the one Veda into four and many other sub-branches like Puranas and Itihasas. Next is the 18th incarnation of Sri Ram. Naradevatvam apannaha surakarya chikirshaya samudra nigrahadi vini chakre vedyani ataparam. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean. and then killing the atheist king Ravan, who was on the other side of the sea. So here the word Nara Deva, Devatvam. Nara Devatvam is referring to Sri Ram. Devatvam is the attribute of being divine or divinity. Divinity as a Nara. When the divine comes as a Nara, that's Nara Devatvam. So we don't mistake him as a Nara only. He's not human, he is divine as a human, taking the form of a human. And it is a divine form. So Sri Ram took that form to help the Devatas because, at that time, due to the oppression and terror of Ravana, everything was, misaligned. Everything was in chaos. So the Devatas requested that the entire universal administration is out of hand. So please, you have to appear now to take care of this. So what is the problem? That from time to time, those who have a atheistic and a demoniac mentality, asuri vritti, they try to go against the established order of the universe. So at that time, there was Ravan, and previously there was Hiranyakashipu. So because we make some material advancement with the help of material science, we think now we can control everything. Then we even come to the spirit of challenging the creator. I can be the creator, why do I need you? So a little progress is good, but if it makes you atheistic, then it's pointless. It's defeating the purpose. So there are ways. You are in a designated planet because of your karma. You have been given a certain deha, whatever species you are in, and whichever planet you are in. If you had a different type of karma, you would have been in a different planet, higher or lower. But to artificially try to change that, Ravana literally wanted to build a staircase to heaven so that anyone can go to heaven. It doesn't require the metric of punya to reach heaven. That is what is this? This is going against the established order. Creation has been done with a certain design, and now you want to go against that design. That is the mentality of a separatist, an anti-establishment attitude. Why should it be this way? I will oppose it. So, the conditions of different planets and different species are there for a reason. And we cannot just breach those codes of the Lord. Lord empowers Brahmaji to create these 14 planets. So when you're trying to mess with that arrangement, you are basically trying to go against the codes of the Lord. You're challenging the designer. So, with a little success in our material advancement, we become puffed up, we become proud that let's challenge the existence of God Himself. So that is, not going to work. Those who have such asuric mentality, those who basically, we are not talking of being against one certain God. It's atheistic. Asuri vritti is not accepting a creator, controller, a designer. Just going with the way of a nihilistic understanding that there is no cause behind creation and there is no purpose or meaning to anything in morality, in meaning, in happiness. Then what do you do? You just enjoy when you can. But this is not a dharmic worldview. It is an asuric worldview. So anyone who acts against the established rule of the Lord, that's asuric. And he even challenged the authority of Sri Ram personally by kidnapping Mother Sita. So, he was not just going against the established order, he was also going directly against Sri Ram himself. And then Lord Ram properly chastised him That was in response to the prayer of the Devatas to please come and re-establish the order in the universe. Yeah, so all this beautiful Leela is the subject matter of Sri Ramayana. And Sri Ram was Devatvam, he is divine, and therefore he exhibited extraordinary superhuman acts, which no human being can perform, not even Ravana. Ravana wanted to build a staircase, but he was unsuccessful. But Sri Ram built a bridge through the ocean. So, proving his divinity over Ravana's foolish aspirations. And how did he make those stones float? It's weightlessness. But you cannot just bring weightlessness in an area of gravity. Maybe in some other part of the space there can be weightlessness. But how can you bring weightlessness when everything else is affected by gravity? That is the greatness of Bhagavan. So this is the display of the power of God. So this beautiful, Setubandha, we can see even today through satellite, through, you can also physically journey there. So this is preserved in history as a superhuman act of Bhagavan, a proof of the previous divine descent. Okay. So this is about Sri Ram. Then we move to verse 23. Ekonavimshe vimshati me vrishneshu prapya janmani Ram Kṛṣṇa viti bhuvo Bhagavan arhat brahmam bharam. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Kṛṣṇa in the family of Vrishneshu Prapya Janmani, making his appearance in the family of Vrishnis, which is the Yadu dynasty. And by so doing, he removed the burden of the world. So here, this verse is mentioning the 19th and 20th incarnations, which are Kṛṣṇa and Balaram, but they're not calling them another avatar. What is different in this verse compared to all other previous verses is the use of the word Bhagavan. So here, Bhagavan himself comes as Kṛṣṇa and Balaram. Yes, we know Kṛṣṇa is Bhagavan, but Balaram is not different from Sri Kṛṣṇa. Balaramji is, he's considered a Dvitiya Deha. Their identity is the same, but only their forms are different. He is the first expansion from Sri Kṛṣṇa, so both are Bhagavan in that sense. Both of them are not incarnations like others. Okay, so this is interesting because Bhagavan is only being used in the context of Sri Kṛṣṇa because Kṛṣṇa and Balaram are the original forms from whom all the incarnations are coming. Then moving to verse 24, after Kṛṣṇa and Balaram is mentioned about Lord Buddha. Very interesting. Tatha kalau sampravritte sammohaya suradusham buddho nam na jana suta kikateshu bhavishyati. Then in the beginning of Kali, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theist. So this is about Sri Ram, Lord Buddha, who appeared as the son of Anjana. And then what was his message? He is known for preaching non-violence, ahimsa. So here Prabhupada is explaining in detail the context, the situation, the message, the mission. What happened was at that time, people were practically atheistic. They were following the Vedas in name only. They were not really following the Vedas. They were just preferring animal flesh on the plea of Vedic sacrifice. So they had no understanding of Vedic sacrifice, nor having any faith in Vedic sacrifice. But that's what happens when, something powerful goes in the hands of someone corrupt. It'll still act, but it'll create devastation, like atomic bomb in the hands of terrorists. It's going to hurt innocent people. So similarly, Vedic yajnas are powerful, but those who are corrupt, those who are selfish, those who are unrestrained, when they just then use the sacrifices as a pretext or a plea for their own gratification. They wanted to indulge in sensual gratification, having flesh. So they were just using Vedic sacrifices as a means to do that, animal killing. Every place was practically turned into a slaughterhouse. So, taking pity on the animals, Lord Buddha preached ahimsa. This is what we know. But there are layers to this. It's not just about ahimsa. No, it's happening in a very specific context for a very specific reason. So, how did he teach ahimsa? Because people are saying Vedas say we should sacrifice animals. So, the first thing he did was to reject the Vedas. We will not accept the Vedas if this is what the Vedas have to give us. But that is not what Vedas had to give. It is Vedas in the wrong hand. The meaning of the Vedas was being misconstrued. So he preached that he did not believe in the tenets of the Vedas and stressed the adverse psychological effects incurred by animal killing. So he said, we will not accept Vedas, and this animal killing is brutality. We should not continue in the name of religion. So let's practice. First, let's become human. Let's practice ahimsa. So here, if you see in the words, sammohaya suradusham. So his appearance had a specific mission. Sammohaya, to delude who? Sura dusham. Sura are the thieves or the devotees. Those who are dusha, those who harbor hatred or envy towards the devotees, who will that be? The atheists, the asuras. So those who were atheists, he came to bewilder them. So those who had no faith in God, they followed his principle and they started to practice morality, discipline, yama, niyama. So which is great. They came from a place of being unrestrained, atheistic. At least they are practicing some regulation, which is good. So because yam and niyama, any kind of discipline and morality, they are like the preliminary steps for any spiritual journey. So they followed it. What interesting is happening here? Can you guess? So they don't accept Vedas, they don't accept a God. Who are they accepting? If somebody comes and claims there is no God, don't believe in God, what are you doing? Who are you believing? You're believing them, right? So you're not believing in God, but you're believing in that person who's making the claim that there is no God. So you're still believing. That was the trick. So Lord Buddha said, don't believe in Vedas, don't believe in God, you believe in me. And who was Lord Buddha? He was Lord himself. So he tricked the atheist into still believing in him. So only Bhagavān can do this. So interestingly, he is himself an incarnation of God. He made the faithless people to believe in God in the form of Lord Buddha. So he made the faithless faithful to him. And because he was personally an incarnation of God, they were benefiting. They were now theists. They were now devotees, even without them knowing. This is the idea of the avatar of Lord Buddha. Okay. So, because what happens when you don't understand the Vedic message through the right parampara, those who are casual readers of Vedas, they don't even know how to judge a person if they're speaking according to scripture or not. Those who are casual readers can very easily get misled by the flowery language of that system of knowledge. So if someone comes and creates a very nice philosophical system and makes it very flowery, so those who are casual readers of the Vedas will get misled. Yeah, this sounds nice, but it's only, flowery language. It is not coming from scriptures. It will not have an effect. It will only give you some intellectual titillation, but it will not lead to any transformation because it is disconnected from Shabda. So, such foolish people who pose us, making a very flowery system, putting it in a very scholarly language. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Kṛṣṇa uses the word avipaschita for them. They think they are learned, but they're not actually learned. Yeah, they do not care to receive the transcendental message through parampara. For them, Vedavada Rataha. For them, Vedas are all about improving your material condition. They'll do yagyas, they'll do big pujas, but if you ask them, why are you doing it? They'll say, I want to go to Swarga or I want to improve the status of my life. But that is only the beginning. That is like, incentive for the neophyte. Somebody who's beginning on a spiritual journey, they are told, if you do this, you will get this benefit. But somebody who's actually driven for spiritual realization, they don't need any incentives. They will do it for self realization. So, in the beginning, Vedas do offer a fruit that you do this, and this is the phala. Otherwise, people will not be motivated to do it. But it doesn't mean we stop there. Like when a parent is teaching a child, okay, write this, do your homework, and I'll give you a treat. It's good to motivate the kid, but when the kid is grown up, they have to work and they cannot ask, I'll not work if there is no treat. It's meant for a certain phase. It stops being relevant later on. So those who don't have that depth of knowledge, they think the goal of Vedas is doing these yagyas and improving our social economic condition. At max, going to Swarga. But Sri Krishna is presenting in the Bhagavad Gita. What is the goal of Vedas? Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo. The purpose of Vedas is to come to me, is to ultimately realize me. The goal is me. The essence is me. So nobody can claim to have understood the Vedas if they have not approached Krishna and surrendered to Sri Krishna. The whole theme of Vedic literature is to know the Supreme Lord. What is this? Ishvara, the individual soul, Jiva, the cosmic situation, Prakriti, and the relation between all these items. In another place, Srila Prabhupada says, what is knowledge? Knowledge means to know what is matter, what is spirit, and who is the controller of both. That is what we need to know. Ishwar Tattva, Jiva Tattva, nature of Prakriti. What is our relationship with Ishwar? That's it. This is what the Vedas want to present. Now, if instead of this, somebody waters down Vedas entirely to killing animals and consuming animals, it is so foolish. So that was a complete corruption of the Vedic system at that time. So those who are too captivated by these ritualistic performative ceremonies, they cannot progress further. So to such bewildered people of atheistic propensity, Lord Buddha is the emblem of theism. Lord Buddha came as an avatar himself. So first he presented ahimsa. So Prabhupada says there are two types of killing. Killing animals is, you know, you are a killer, and sometimes those who don't work for spiritual progress, they just use their human life for material pursuits. They are also called killers of the soul. Atmaha. This comes in Sri Upanishad. So both animal killing is bad. So Maharaj Parikshit said that only the animal killer cannot relish the transcendental message of the Supreme Lord. So in the conversation between Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, when Parikshit Maharaj is hearing these transcendental messages, he's getting, bliss. He's saying, who will not relish these messages of Bhagavatam? Only an animal killer. Because that puts you in a frame of mind where you cannot appreciate anything spiritual or transcendental. So, it is nonsensical to say that animal killing has nothing to do with spiritual realization. No, animal killing is a central tenet of spiritual life. It is a basic, it's a beginning yama and niyama of spiritual progress. Why? Because Prabhupada is mentioning later in the purport that, Lord Buddha, he rejected the Vedas to save people from animal killing and also to save the poor animals from being slaughtered by their own big brothers. We are like big brothers to those animals. They trust us, therefore, and we exploit that trust. So if a big brother is killing a younger brother, and there is so much those big brothers, humans, are talking about universal brotherhood, peace, justice, equity. How can you have equity and brotherhood if you are killing your own brothers? So Lord Buddha wanted to stop it completely, and therefore he presented ahimsa, not only in Bharatvarsha, but outside the country also. So this matter of do the Vedic sacrifice involve animal killing? This has been systematically discussed. There's also a conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Maulana Chand Kazi that the purpose of animal sacrifice was to prove the efficacy of the yajna. The Brahmanas were so powerful, they were so tuned to the powers of the universe that they could do yajnas which could invite the devatas. Just to check if the yajna has been done properly, precisely, they would sacrifice an animal who would immediately come back and get a human form. That is the level of, you know, superhuman activities that were going on there. But to remove that and just reduce it to slaughtering animals for the sake of it, that is a corruption of the Vedic sacrifice system. So, did Lord Buddha reject the Vedas? He only superficially denied the authority of the Vedas. He wanted to protect the animals and he wanted to save people from that sin of killing animals. So he only superficially denied the authority of the Vedas. Technically, Lord Buddha's philosophy is called atheistic because it doesn't accept Vedas, it doesn't accept God, but it is an act of camouflage. Yeah, if you have to tell atheists to practice something, you have to tell them, well, yes, let's reject the Vedas. You only accept me, but you are accepting Lord Buddha, who is an avatar of Kṛṣṇa. So, in that way, you are still benefiting. So Lord Buddha is an incarnation of Kṛṣṇa only, and he's the Lord is the original propounder of Vedic knowledge. So how can he go against Vedic knowledge in one of his own incarnations? Yeah, he rejected it outwardly because the Suradusha, or those who are envious of the devotees, they were supporting animal killing from the pages of the Vedas. And this is now being done by modernized sannyasis. Those who say that, oh, yeah, yeah, no problem. Animal killing has nothing to do with spiritual realization. You can continue, killing animals, having that as your diet, and still you can make spiritual advancement. No, that's not acceptable. Hmm. So his rejecting the Vedas were only superficial. It was just a camouflage. It was done technically so that those atheistic people of that context could accept ahimsa and also accept Lord Buddha. So otherwise he would have, great devotees and poets like Jaidev Goswami are worshipping Lord Buddha. So this is a hidden this is an incarnation with a hidden mission, like Lord Buddha. Similarly, Shankaracharya. They paved the path of theism, although it appeared that they're going against the idea of theism and Vaishnavism. For their context, they were helping the people and situation of that time to become favorable to the Vedas, to the Vedic methods. Sometimes you have to temporarily adopt, sometimes you have to go in a wrong direction to avoid a huge traffic jam, and then you change the lane. Doesn't mean they have, stopped moving in the right direction. It's contextual. It's situational. It cannot be normalized. So Sripad Shankaracharya, Lord Buddha, they are an incarnation. Yes, stealth mode. So to completely, this is an undercover mission they are on. But if we see as a continuity, they are paving the way for atheism. Put together, they are helping humanity come closer to the divine. Their specific contribution or method may be questioned. But if you see in the whole series, if it were not for them, Lord Buddha, for Sripad Shankaracharya, the Vedas would have been, completely displaced as authority. There would be no Vedic culture remaining. So no, they are empowered incarnations of the Lord. And ultimately, when over time that path became refined, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu led specifically led people towards a path of realization going back to Godhead. So we should look at these acharyas as a series. They are all working towards the same mission, improving upon and refining upon the previous work. We cannot contrast them. They are in a continuous divine mission. Yeah, but the question is, are people taking non-violence seriously? Have they stopped slaughtering animals? Otherwise, what is the meaning to ahimsa? Another thing of about this verse is, when was Bhagavatam composed? Just at the beginning of Kali, 5,000 years ago. But Lord Buddha appeared 2,600 years ago, which is much later after Srimad Bhagavatam was composed. So this means that Bhagavatam is predicting the incarnation of Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha is being foretold about in Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is the authority of scripture. This is the science of avatāras. They are specific, timed, divine descent. Everything is pre-programmed. So we have to understand this beautiful design that the cosmos is created by the divine and it is continuously monitored by the divine. And there are many such prophecies and they are being fulfilled one after another because Bhagavatam is Shabda Praman. It is free of the four human defects. So this is about Lord Buddha, beautifully explained by Prabhupada. Then we move to the last one. Athaso yuga sandhyayam dasyu prayashu rajasu janita vishnu yashaso namna kal Lokir Jagatpatihi. Thereafter, at the conjunction of two yugas, the Lord of creation will take his birth as the Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Yasha. At this time, the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers. You might think it is already like that, but no. Kali has a duration of 432,000 years, and out of 432,000 years, only 5,000 years have passed. So there's going to be tremendous degradation before we see Kalki coming. So the conjunction of the two yugas means at the end of Kali Yuga and at the start of the next Sat Yuga. That is the time Lord will appear as Kalki. So again, this incarnation of Kalki will take place as foretold in Srimad Bhagavatam. And the name of his father is mentioned, Vishnu Yasha, his village, Shambhala is mentioned. So, this make everything about the avatar very specific. That is the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam, that all these foretellings prove to be factual in chronological order. Okay. So we discussed how many? Around 22 avataras. Is that right? So are there only 22 avataras? No, there are innumerable avataras. Avatara hi asankhyeya hare satvanidhir dvajaha yatha vidhasinah kulyaha sahasrasyu sahasrashaha. O Brahmanas, the incarnation, who's speaking this? Suta Goswami to Shaunakadi rishis, because they asked him, they asked him 6 questions in chapter 1. So 4 of them he answered in chapter 2, and the remaining 2 about the incarnations of the Lord he's answering in chapter 3. So he's answering, O Brahmanas, O Shaunakadi rishis, the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water. So, like there's an inexhaustible lake, and from that thousands of small rivers are flowing. Can you count them? Those avataras are unlimited. And what is the nature? Sattva nidheha. We've discussed previously the word nidhi means to be the shelter. So all these avataras are sattva nidhi. They are ocean. They are the treasure house of pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. So this verse is, saying that, okay, we listed out 22, and it is not that those were chronological. There are different passages which predict chronology of avatars, but here these 22s were just numbered as indicator. Actually, there are unlimited avataras. We have not discussed Hayagriva, Puṁsaḥ. So these are just to indicate that these are some of the forms of the Lord. And when we say they are of the nature of Shuddha Sattva, what does it mean? Do you remember? Shuddha Sattva means they are constituted of the Swarupa of the Lord. They are all made up of Satchit Anand. And they are inexhaustible, Vidasina, asankhyeya, innumerable, avida, avidasinaha, inexhaustible. So, you cannot ever complete counting them. So, and they're flowing out like small streams from a great source. Asankhyena, not countable. So in this way, we see that sometimes Lord takes incarnation as a human being, as an animal, as a great saint, as a devata, as a fish, tortoise. So literally, Lord incarnates in each and every species throughout every millennia. So this is saying that we cannot get an idea of all the avatars. So this is only a partial list. There are many others like Sri Haigriv, Hari, Hamsa, Prishnigarva, Vibhu, yeah, and so on. Sri Prahlad Maharaj is saying that you manifest as many incarnations as there are species of life in aquatics, vegetables, reptiles, birds, beasts. So, we cannot really comprehend that. So, just for the maintenance of faithful and the annihilation of unfaithful. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. What does the Lord do? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata. Tadatmanam srijami aham. I appear. Okay, so in Kali Yuga, Lord has come in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there are many instances in Bhagavatam and other scriptures in which the incarnation of Lord as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explicitly mentioned. Lord has many incarnations. Rama, Dimurti, Shukala, Niyamena, Tishtan. So that is mentioned in Brahma Samhita. So therefore, Lord Kṛṣṇa and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are non-different. Yeah. What is their constitution? We'll see in the next verse. But in Kali Yuga, Sri Krishna's incarnation is that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, how do we generally identify an incarnation? By their performance of superhuman activities. Kumaras were empowered with transcendental knowledge. Narad Muni is empowered with devotional service. Prithu Maharaj is empowered with executive function. Matsya incarnation is directly a plenary portion. So the innumerable incarnations of the Lord are manifested all over the universes constantly without cessation. So in some universe, there is some incarnation happening right now. So in that way, it is happening continuously. These leelas are not certain, like a drama. Oh, now we are going to stage this drama on this day of the week for 2 hours. It's Nitya Leela. Somewhere or the other, that Leela is constantly going on, and there are innumerable such avatars. The principle is that this is the Lord's way of engaging with His creation. Okay. Any questions so far? Yeah, so we are seeing how this concept is being slowly built up. The science of divine causality, and then the various incarnations for specific functions. So here, let's look at one verse, 1 second. Talking about this phenomena of avatars, we find in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Prahlad Maharaj's prayers that we just discussed. Okay. Anyways, let's continue. So after saying that Lord's incarnation are innumerable and inexhaustible, Suta Goswami is next concluding this list of avataras in the 27th verse by saying, Rishayo mano vo deva manuputra mahaujasaha kalaha sarve hared eva samprajapataya smritaha. All the rishis, manus, demigods, and descendants of manus who are especially powerful, Maha Ojasa. Ojas means power, Maha-Ojasa, especially powerful. Who are they? Kalaha. Kala, like avatar, another word is Kala. Kala is plenary portion or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. So expansion and then expansion from that expansion. So these words are being used. Vistara means expansion. Kalaha means a portion or portion of a portion. So these are to denote how much potency that incarnation carries. This also includes the Prajapatis. So what is being told here is those who are comparatively less powerful are called Vibhutis, and those who are comparatively more powerful are called Avesha, as we also discussed last time. Avesha is divine empowerment, and Vibhuti is a presence, being a spark of Lord's splendor. So Vibhuti is a comparatively less powerful expansion, and a more powerful expansion is called an Avesh. Okay. So, after describing the avatars in the previous verses, now Vibhutis are also described. And then we come to verse 28, which is concluding this entire discussion. Very beautiful verse. Let's chant. Ete cāṁśa-kalāḥ puṁsaḥ kṛṣṇastu Bhagavān Svayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Kṛṣṇa is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets wherever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. So this is, beautiful description of what is the connection of these avatars, and then we also have spoken about Sri Kṛṣṇa. So what is this hierarchy all about? So this verse 28 is called a paribhāṣā-sūtra. Paribhāṣā-sūtra is the axiom or the governing principle, which is going to illuminate the rest of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are many incarnations of the Lord, but we would still be interested in knowing which one is the original form. Okay, so Srila Jiva Goswami has done an entire study and presentation of this topic in his masterpiece of Kṛṣṇa Sandarbha. What is the identity of Kṛṣṇa? Is Kṛṣṇa an expansion of Narayan? Is Kṛṣṇa an incarnation of Mahavishnu? Garbhodakshaya Vishnu or Kshirodakshaya Vishnu? Who is Kṛṣṇa? Or Kṛṣṇa is an incarnation of Vamana or of Rama? So no, this verse is clarifying all of that. And if you want to understand that in detail, you can study the entire Kṛṣṇa Sandarbha. So here only 22 are mentioned because these are the chief ones. Yeah. And they are incarnations in all are unlimited, as we have seen. So we cannot anyways list them. So now what is this verse all about? That it is saying, Ete, let's understand each verse. Ete means these. These means the 22 incarnations mentioned above. Cha means and. Means these which have been specified and others. So ete cha, ete means these and others. What does ete cha cover? These covers the 22 incarnations which have been listed and the puruṣa-avatāras which have been listed before that. That is how the chapter began. And ete cha These and others also includes the unlimited incarnations of the Lord which are not listed. Okay, so Etecho is very significant. It is saying all these listed and unlisted. The 22 listed here, the puruṣa-avatāras mentioned before them, and those unlisted, unlimited incarnations of the Lord. What are they? They are amsha. Ete cha. These and others are amsha. Amsha means a portion. Or as we discussed, expansion or expansion of expansion. So they are either amshas. Amsha means a small portion of the original power, like a spark of fire. That's how an amsha is. It's expanding from the fire only, but in itself, it is a portion. It is not the entire power. So all these incarnations which we have discussed so far are all amshas, or they are kala. Kala means, as we saw before, kala means an opulence. So they are either portions or they are opulence. And you see this uh, is covering all the expansions. So basically it is implying that everything that we have studied are expansions and opulences, but two changes the entire meaning of the verse. What is two doing? Two is putting the next part of the statement in a different context. Yeah, in fact, if you see what is what is the word two doing here, that it is saying what is coming later is different from what you saw previously. Airplane is the best mode of travel, but you require a spaceship to go to other realms. So, it is like we are talking of another category now. So the word two is significant. It is saying that the next part of the verse is different from what came before. So what is being said? Kṛṣṇas too, but Kṛṣṇa is Bhagavān Svayam. Everything that we saw and everything that is non-listed are all incarnations, but Kṛṣṇa is Svayam Bhagavān. Kṛṣṇa is not among the incarnations. In fact, he's not even the source of the incarnations. Who is the source of all incarnations? We saw in the first 5 verses. All avatāras are expansions of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is an expansion of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Therefore, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu was called the fountainhead of all incarnations. Do you remember? That was mentioned in purport 5. So, the incarnations are not coming from Kṛṣṇa. They are coming from, all are coming from Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is being expanded from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So, Kṛṣṇa is neither an incarnation nor is he a source of the incarnation. He is a different category. He is Swayam Bhagwan. Ete cha cāṁśa-kalāḥ puṁsaḥ. Puṁsaḥ means of that original being. So these are all expansions. Kṛṣṇas tu Bhagavān Swayam. But Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, when Prabhupada uses the word Supreme Personality of Godhead, each word is significant. There is no redundancy. Personality has to be denoted, supremacy has to be denoted, Godhead, divinity has to be denoted. So that is the complete understanding of Bhagavan. So, and why is Kṛṣṇa coming? Indrari Vyakulam Lokam, to Indra, who is a devotee, and those who disturb Indra or devotees, they are the atheists. So to remove them, Mridayanti, Yuge Yuge. So the purpose is that wherever there is a disturbance, Lord incarnates to protect the theist. That is the role of incarnations. So that can be done by the expansions of Sri Krishna. So second line is meant as a standalone line. It is completely different from the other three lines. It is separated by the word tu. Krishna doesn't come for the purpose of removing the atheists. His appearance is not like the appearance of other incarnations. Yeah. Even if you look grammatically, the word mridayanti, which means to protect or support, mridayanti is used in plural. So who are protecting them? Plural incarnations are protecting. Krishna is mentioned in singular. So mridayantri is indicating that the incarnations do the job of protecting from the atheist. So what is the main point is Krishna is in a different category and the incarnations are a different category altogether. So therefore this is called the Paribhāṣā-sūtra. Now we are having a philosophical discussion at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is only chapter 3. So when a sutra is being introduced at the start of a text, it precedes or overrides any other later mentions about the same principle. So if Krishna is mentioned as an expansion of the puruṣas, that has to be seen as carrying lesser authority than this paribhāṣā-sūtra, because this is discussed in a philosophical context, and the other statements are only in a historical context. So then why are Shri Krishna and Balram listed? We saw them as the 19th and 20th incarnations also mentioned in the previous verse. In verse 23. They were mentioned because they also appear like others. They also seem to take birth. So Vyasdev has listed them as incarnations, but then he used the word Bhagavān there. And he also uses the word Bhagavān in the first verse of this chapter. If you see how we started this discussion is, this creation comes from Jagre Paurusham Rupam Bhagavan Mahad Adibhi. So verse 1, verse 23, and verse 28. Only these three verses are using the word Bhagavan, and all of these three are talking only about Sri Krishna. So, this is like an unambiguous declarative statement. This is like Shruti Vakya. It's making a categorical declaration. Krishna is Swayam Bhagwan. He's not an avatar, nor is he a source of avatars. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the source. Krishna is a different category altogether. So, this verses like these, which are called a sutra, a Shruti Vakya, they don't need any interpretation. So therefore, the word Bhagwan is used only for Krishna Balram, and it is used for Sri Krishna in this verse. So this is the understanding of Krishna's through Bhagavan Swayam. And in the first verse, we also saw the words Purusha and Bhagwan were used. So what is it saying? That all these incarnations come not directly from Krishna, but from the puruṣa-avatāras. Ete cha cāṁśa-kalāḥ puṁsaḥ, they come from all these expansion and expansion of expansion and vibhutis, they come from puruṣa-avatāras. But Krishna is in a different category of divinity. He is Bhagwan Swayam. He is Swayam Bhagwan. Okay, so this is being explained in the purport, but it's very systematically presented. And we'll also see later in this purport, Prabhupada describe the whole chart actually. But first, let's understand this principle, the difference between cāṁśa-kalāḥ and Svayam Bhagavān. They are not in the same category.
Prabhu, what about the Dasha avatars?
Yeah, they are also
Why
avatars, no? Like
why
we
have
saw
they
this.
been taken separately as 10 avatars?
See, that is
Specifically 10.
Jayadev Goswami has compiled a glorification. So he's chosen chief 10 incarnations. And here Bhagavatam chapter 3 mentions 22. So any different presentations of the chief incarnations will always be represented. That's why. So Kṛṣṇa is Swayam Bhagwan and all others are expansions and kalas. Yeah. Avataras are also eternal and spiritual. But Kṛṣṇa is not merely another expansion, but he is the original source. In him, the manifestation of the energies are in full. All avatars and incarnations are portions, but Kṛṣṇa is Bhagavan himself. Any questions or thoughts? So this is a paribhāṣā-sūtra, very important. And as we study the purport, there will be a lot of clarity coming out. The point is, we are understanding how Kṛṣṇa is Bhagwan and he's not just another avatar. Okay. So here, Avatara means one who descends, and all incarnations descend on different planets and in different species to fulfill particular missions. Sometimes the Lord comes himself, sometimes his different plenary portions or part of plenary portions or his differentiated portions, directly or indirectly empowered by him, descend on this material world to execute certain specific functions. So he can come himself or he can empower someone. Originally, the Lord is full of opulences. Bhagavān, yashasya shriyasya, yashasya shriyasya, jnana vairagyena. So when they are partly manifested through the plenary portions or parts of plenary portion, it should be noted that certain manifestations of his different powers are required for those particular functions. So if a certain function requires only a certain part of his power to be manifested, then he comes as a part or a part of a plenary portion. Plenary, see, one is expanding, and if that expansion is having the same power as the source, that is called a plenary expansion because both are on the same plane of power. So plenary expansion or portion of that plenary expansion. So these amshas and kalas can be small sparks, but the original storehouse is Bhagavan. The same powerhouse, which we can see a bulb and we can think, oh, its power is limited. No, it's not limited. It's all connected to an unlimited source. So this is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. That anyecha samskritam samskritatmano vidhinabhitena te yajanti tvam mayastam vai bahumurti ekamurtikam. This is the interesting principle. Bahumurti ekamurtikam. They worship you as the Supreme Lord manifesting in multiple forms. So now is the conclusion. The philosophical conclusion of this Avatāra theology is that Bahumurtikam Bahumurti Ekamurtikam. There's so many expansions, they are not competing gods. We are not polytheistic. We have one God who is manifesting in unlimited ways. So, Bahumurti, multiple forms, are what? Manifestations of the Ekamurtikam. So, this is a very important principle to understand. We are not confusing here with polytheism that, oh, Krishna is also there, Vamana is also there, Sri Ram is also there. No, when we speak of these different incarnations of the Lord, like Narsimha, Varaha, Rama, Kalki, Matsya, so this is not polytheism. These are not separate because they are expansions, therefore they cannot be separate, nor are they competing. Polytheism means more than one God. But these are not independent gods who are competing with each other. So, somebody who doesn't understand this may call our practice as polytheism. Oh, you worship many gods. It is not that simplistic. First, you understand the principle of Bahumurtikam, Bahumurti Ekamurtikam. That all of these are diverse eternal forms manifesting from the one original form. So this is not polytheism where there are competing separate gods. Nor are we saying, no, 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 there are no, let us not talk of so many gods. There's just a impersonal. That is also the other wrong extreme. So avatar theology, when we understand this properly, avatar tattva, we can avoid the dangers of the extremes of polytheism or impersonal monism. In Sri Ishopanishad, we discussed that when you worship the part as the whole, that is a mistake. That is called absolutizing. It is a part, but you are calling it the absolute. That is Devata worship. If you worship it as a part, that's fine. But if you call it as the ultimate and absolute, then that is absolutizing the part, which is wrong. Other is abstracting the absolute. You are taking away all personality from Kṛṣṇa. That is a bigger error. So therefore, those who approach the avyakta form, they have a more, darker destination than those who approach the parts or the devatas. Okay, so all of these avatars are manifested as part of Leela. And there is a universal plan behind this. Okay, so did you understand this principle of Bahumurti Ekamurtikam very clearly? So this is the Bhagavad theology. Unlimited manifestations, but from the one original source, Ekamurtikam. And we also don't reduce that Ekamurtikam to impersonal. Nirvishesha. No, there is Murti, means form. Why is the word Murtikam used? That means there is one form. Okay, so let's see further. We discussed that Lord is all pervading in the world. Yeah, so we are small, tiny, atomic particles. And how many jivas are there? There are infinite jivas. So jivas are also called all pervading. Why? Because they are innumerable jivas. The entire universe is covered by jivas, but they are different individual small atomic jivas. That is not how the Lord pervades the universe. Yeah. He pervades in this innumerable forms, which we just discussed, innumerable, eternal, inexhaustible forms. Why? Because all of his forms are existing simultaneously. So Prabhupada gives the example of the generator and the electric bulb. Similarly, the incarnations of the Lord display limited powers because so much power is needed at that particular time. So, what is the crisis? What is the rectification force required? Only that much power the Lord manifests in that situation. So, this is the relation between amsha, portion, as we discussed, ete cha amśa-kalāḥ. Amsha is portion and amshi is the source. So then Srila Prabhupada gives, some examples that Lord Parshuram, Lord Narasimha displayed unusual opulence by killing disobedient Kshatriyas. Lord Parshuram here is who killed the Kshatriyas 21 times, Bhrigupati Rupa. And Lord Narasimha killed the powerful atheist Hiranyakashipu. So how much power was needed to kill Hiranyakashipu or to kill those Kshatriyas 21 times? That much power was invested in these incarnations. That's the point. So proportionate power is invested depending on the mission. So the Devatas were afraid of Hiranyakashipu. So, we can imagine how powerful he was. But Lord just ripped him apart like how a carpenter drives a nail in a block of wood. It chips away. It just effortlessly chipping pieces of wood. That is how Lord Narasimha sliced apart Hiranyakashipu, who seemed to be so powerful. Why? Because Lord descended with that amount of power required. Similarly, Jamadagnya displayed the Lord's power to kill all the disobedient kings, powerfully situated in their respective states. And then Prabhupada also talks about how other incarnations were empowered, like Narad Muni, Varaha, directly and indirectly empowered Lord Buddha, created faith in the mass of people. So the incarnations of Rama and Dhanvantari displayed his fame, and Balram, Mohini, and Vamana exhibited his beauty. So different opulences are manifested through different incarnations. Nar and Narayan Rishis exhibited his renunciation. So in originality in Bhagwan, he has all the six opulences in full, but in his incarnations, some of it is present to some degree. But Lord Krishna, the primeval Lord, exhibited the complete features of Godhead, and thus is confirmed that he is the source of all other incarnations. Source means the source of the incarnation, because he is the source of Garbhodaksha Vishnu also. So in that sense, he is the source of the incarnation, not directly, but being the source of the source. And the most extraordinary feature exhibited by Lord Krishna was his internal energy. Internal energy covers the Leelas of the Lord. His pastimes with the gopis are of Satchit Anand nature. And these pastimes should not be misunderstood as sensual because they are in Krishna's internal energy. We have discussed incarnations and we discussed how Krishna is the storehouse of all these powers in full. And then if Krishna is demonstrating these leelas, they have to be pure and transcendental and perfect. The Bhagavatam relates these transcendental pastimes in the 10th canto, and in order to reach that position, to understand that how the Lord's dealings with the gopis were transcendental, the Bhagavatam promotes the student gradually in 9 other cantos. So what we are undergoing now is progressive education to understand how Krishna is original, transcendental supreme personality of Godhead. So, all the symptoms of the supreme truth in full are present in the person of Lord Krishna. And in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Matta parataram nanyat, that there is no one superior to me. And in this verse, the word Svayam is mentioned to confirm that Krishna has no other source than himself. So is Krishna Bhagwan, who is coming from someone? No. He is Bhagwan Swayam, coming from himself only, independent and self-contained. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Although in other places, the incarnations are described as Bhagwan because of their specific functions. When something is powerful, even in Srimad Bhagavatam, the word Bhagwan is used to refer to anyone who is demonstrating some opulence. Narad Muni is called as Bhagwan, and so many other, characters of Srimad Bhagavatam are sometimes called Bhagwan. But the idea is because they are demonstrating a certain power, but it is not like the absolute power of Sri Krishna. Nowhere are they declared to be the supreme personality. They might be referred to as Bhagwan because they're doing something great, but they're not called the supreme personality. In this stanza, the verse Swayam signifies the supremacy as the Samambonam. Krishna, the Samambonam. Supreme is Swayam, Bhagwan. Okay, so here's a Samurdhvam, Advitiya. He's one without a second. He's expanded himself into various parts, portions, and particles. So, if you want to have a look at this, let's have a glance at this chart which explains this paragraph. Yeah, so as I read, you can also, look at this. It is very helpful to understand. So, first is Sri Krishna as Swayam Rupa, the original form as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. So, Swayam Prakash, see the word written here is, he expanded himself in various parts, portions, and particles as Swayam Rupa. You know where Swayam Rupa is now? Swayam Prakash, his own expansions. His own expansions then go to further two categories, Prabhav Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash. Prabhav Prakash is when he expands himself into many forms at the Rasa dance or when he marries 16,108 wives at Dwarka. And all of those forms are the same. Vaibhav Prakash are when his forms are differently manifested according to different emotional features. Okay. Tad Ekatma, that is the next one. His form and transcendental emotion are differently manifested. Prabhav, Vilas. So from Balramji, from Lord Krishna, first expansion is Balramji. From Balramji, the first Chaturvyu we have discussed, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anirudh. They are called from Balramji Tad Ekatma Rupa in the forms in which the Lord's transcendental emotion and Lord's transcendental form are differently manifested. So within Tad Ekatma Rupa are Vilas, the pastime expansion. And within Vilas there is Prabhav Vilas and Vaibhav Vilas. Prabhav, Vaibhav, Vilas, Avatar, Avesh, and Jivas. So Prabhupada is listing all of them in one sentence. All provided with innumerable energies just suitable to respective persons and personalities. So those who are learned in this subject matter, they have analyzed that the Kṛṣṇa is the summum bonum. He has 64 principal attributes. Okay. And all expansions or categories of the Lord, they possess only a percentage of these 64 attributes. Sri Krishna is the possessor of the attributes 10%, 64 attributes in full. That's Sri Krishna. And his personal expansions such as Swayam Prakash, can you locate it on the chart? Yes. Swayam, so his personal expansions like such as Swayam Prakash here and Tad Ekatma up to the category of avataras who are all Vishnu Tattvas. So these are all Vishnu Tattvas up till here, till the three Purushas. Okay. Who are all Vishnu Tattvas possess up to 93% of this transcendental attributes. So Lord Krishna possesses those 64 attributes in 100%. And from him, all these expansions up to here, who are Vishnu Tattvas, they possess 93% of those attributes. Lord Shiva, who is neither an avatar nor Avesh, nor in between them, possesses almost 84% of the attributes. So Vishnu Tattvas possess 93%, Shiva Tattva possesses 84%. We, the jivas or the individual beings, possess up to 78%. Yeah. Are you surprised pleasantly? So that is the common feature that we share. In the conditioned state, in the Baddhavastha, the living being possesses these attributes in a very minute quantity. So, or we might be possessing those attributes up to 78%, but in our conditioned state, all of those attributes become covered. The most perfect of living beings is Brahma. So, this is a chart only of avataras. Brahmaji possesses 78%. All other devatas have the same attributes in less quantity, whereas human beings possess the attributes in a very minute quantity. So 78 is not for all jivas, it is for Brahmaji. And the devatas have those attributes in a lesser quantity, and we have it in a minute quantity. The standard of perfection for human being is to develop the attributes up to 78% in full. At least you know what your human potential allows you. The living being can never possess attributes like Shiva, Vishnu, or Lord Krishna. So we are different categories. Krishna Tattva, Vishnu Tattva, Shiva Tattva, and Jiva Tattva. So now you clearly know what proportion, what position. Okay, and here you see all from Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, you see all these different avataras. Leela avataras we discussed, coming to perform various leelas like Matsya, Nar Narayan, Dattatreya, Prithu Maharaj, Narsimhadev, Dhanvantari, Mohini. They are all Leela avataras. 25 are listed. Then Guna avataras, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Then Yuga avataras. Every yug a different avatar. Krishna for Kali Yuga, and specifically Krishna as a hidden incarnation of Lord Chaitanya in a yellow form. So they are Yuga avatars. Then the Manvantara avatars, 14 Manus who are ruling that phase, and each, and one avatar for each Manu. So there are 14 Manvantara avatars. And then there are Shakti-avesh avatars. There is Bhagavad Avesh, directly empowered, like Rishabh Dev and Kapil Dev. And then there are vibhutis who are indirectly empowered. We discussed this. Within the vibhutis are Sheshana, Anantadev, Lord Brahma, Chatushkumara, Narad Muni, Maharaj Prithu, and Parshuram. So this is the overview of the various avatars of the Lord. The godly living beings who are all residents of the planets in the spiritual sky are eternal associates of God in different spiritual planets called Haridham and Maheshdham. Haridham is for Lord Vishnu and Maheshdham is for Lord Shiva. The abode of Lord Kṛṣṇa above all the spiritual planets is called Kṛṣṇa Lok or Golok Vrindavan. And the perfected living being, by developing 78% of the above attributes in full, can enter the planet of Kṛṣṇa Lok after leaving the present material body. So you see, while we were seeing these hierarchy of these avatars, on the side was also their realm were also mentioned. So these avatars, after expanding from Kshirodaksha Vishnu, they are all coming to the material world. Yeah. The puruṣa-avatāras themselves are existing outside the material world. Okay. Karanadaksha Vishnu is on the Karan Sagar, on the other side of which is the material creation. And then Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters into each Brahmanda. And then Kshirodaksha Vishnu enters into each individual being as per Magma. So that is, you see on the left, what is that region? Karanadaksha Vishnu is where the boundary between transcendental and material realm is. That's called Viraja. From there, the spiritual atmosphere starts. The Brahmajyoti, which is the effulgence or the glitter of the spiritual planets. And then there is Vaikuntha, in which there is the second Chaturvyu. Now there is Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anirudh, and from each of them there are further Keshava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana. So you should know specifically where each specific incarnation of the Lord is present. And then if we go above Vaibhav Vilas, then we are entering Golok, where there is only Prabhav Vilas, Tadekatma Rupa, and Swayam Rupa. So these are also mapped to territory. There is more to discuss about these avatars. Of course, we have not discussed all of them exhaustively, but this is a overview. We can, discuss so much more about it. And the whole scriptures are filled with this. Swayam Rupa, Tadekatma Rupa, Avesh Rupa. So I can share a note, spanning around 3 pages, in which all of this, what we saw in the chart, all of it is mentioned. Who comes where? So that will complete our discussion of all these expansions. Let's take the 29th verse as well. Janmaguyam bhagavato ya etat prayato naraha sayam pratar grinan bhaktya dukkha gramad vimuchyate. Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. So, Srila Prabhupada says that in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says in the 4th chapter, Janma karma cha me divyam. My janma means appearance. Karma, activities, are divya. They are transcendental. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvata. One who knows that my appearance and my activities are transcendental, tyaktva deha punarjanma naiti mameti swarjan. Just by knowing Krishna's transcendental nature and appearance and activities, one can go back to Krishna. So knowledge about Krishna, knowledge about Krishna's avatar is not just information, it is also salvific. It has power to give us salvation or take us back to Krishna. So understanding Krishna's transcendental forms and activities will take us to transcendence. Simply by knowing factually the mysterious ways of the Lord's incarnation in this material world can liberate one from material bondage. So therefore, Sri Krishna manifests his leelas, his birth, for the welfare of people in general. All of those activities are transcendental, they are not ordinary. And only they are mysterious. It took us some time to understand this. We have been discussing this over the past so many sessions. Now we have a hint of this understanding. Those who carefully try to go deep into the matter by spiritual devotion, for them the mystery is discovered. And thus they get material liberation from material bondage. So, what is advised in this verse? One who simply recites this chapter of Bhagavatam, describing the appearance of the Lord in different incarnations. That's one reason why Srila Suta Goswami composed the beautiful Dash-avatāras Stotra to regularly remember Krishna's beautiful transcendental incarnations. And when we do that, describe the appearance of the Lord in different incarnations in sincerity and devotion, we can have insight into the birth and activities of the Lord. Because Krishna's birth and activities are transcendental, therefore, reciting them can take us to transcendence. If they were ordinary, we would not get liberation. Okay, so those who don't follow the prescribed regulations of devotional service, they are not entitled to enter into the mysteries of his birth and activities. Hare Krishna. So this is, we're just introducing the concept. There is so much more to study and read and hear about each of these incarnations. But you should have a clear overview. A bird's eye view should be clear. When we name one incarnation, what category are they? Where are they situated in the cosmos? And what are their functions? Okay, so I'll share that 3-pager with you, and you will also be able to map it out with the chart. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandvat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.